Hey everyone, it's been a while and a lot has happened. Some good, some not so good, but we'll get into it all. 2 years ago I put up this video and it's done better than I'd expected. I've been gaining subscribers since and I've always wanted to do some YouTube stuff, so here I am finally getting around to it. For starters, yes, I am still a game dev working solo, making my own stuff. Since the last video, I've launched Forgotten Fields, moved to a new place, started work on 2 new different projects at the same time, and learned a lot about motivation, productivity, and the way the mind works. Let's get into it, shall we? In April 2021, I launched Forgotten Fields. It performed around expectations, but that's mostly because my expectations weren't really high. That didn't stop it all from being a disappointment though. After releasing Rainswept and all the praise that it got, it wasn't really fun to realize that you can't rest on your laurels. There were a lot of issues with Forgotten Fields, especially when it came to the story, writing and dialogues. The main things when it comes to my game, so that wasn't great. It kind of makes sense because I was in a creative slump at the time and the game was about said slump, so of course the product wasn't great. Anyways, I learned a lot from that. On the bright side, by the end of Forgotten Fields, I was back to being creatively inspired. That led to a Silent Hill inspired horror game. I worked on that from June to December 2021, but it's on hold now, so we won't really talk about it now. I will be returning to it very soon though, so stay tuned. December 2021. Possible burnout was beginning to hit me again. Turns out it was more than that, but we'll get to this soon. I took a break and released a big patch for Forgotten Fields, fixing a lot of bugs, but also a lot of the writings and the dialogues, making it tighter and more efficient. It finally took the game to a level of quality that I'm comfortable charging people money for and attaching my name to. I didn't return to my horror game right after that though, I wasn't in the right mental space. You see, I'd been spending the last few months observing my thoughts and thought processes and had identified how strong an impact your own thoughts can have on your day-to-day life. Living alone in a house can do that to you. Your thoughts get loud. On a drive during this long December break, all this began to turn into an idea for a game. A game based around thoughts and how they can shape your world. I wasn't making much progress with the horror game, so I thought I'd take a little break and make a little experimental game. That turned into Unwording. Without going too into depth, Unwording is a game about your thoughts. These start as word puzzles whose solutions turn everyday objects and thoughts into negative interpretations. But story stuff happens, the main character's perspective is forced to change, and this changes the puzzles and the world around him. He begins to see and appreciate more of the world, actually noticing and exploring things and areas that were always there, but inaccessible to him because of his perspective, because he was always so focused on what he didn't have. This works by transforming the game from 2D to 2.5D to 3D. Jan to April 2022. I worked on both Unwording while also simultaneously breaking down how thoughts work. For anyone that's interested, this video and this video were major breakthrough points. I'll leave links for them in the description. Check them out, they're worth your time. They gave me the tools to work with, but you can't just change your thoughts with the flick of a switch. Your thoughts fall into set patterns like train tracks, and will tend to follow them automatically every time. In other words, thought patterns are a habit. Around April, I was making okay progress with the game and with my thoughts. But thought patterns are a habit, and mine needed changing. Combined with some other situations and reasons, I decided I wanted to do something big, drastic, and different to break these patterns. That's when I saw there was an upcoming conference in England and said to myself, I think it's time to treat myself to a little holiday. I applied for my visa, and with the conference still a couple of months away, I decided to spend the time leading up to it back home in Goa. And this was the best thing I could have done. 2 months away from my usual life led to different everyday experiences, different surroundings, and automatically different daily thoughts. 60 days of different thoughts. The bad patterns, the thought habits were broken. After this, I left for my England trip, and this sealed the already good progress with some great icing of positive vibes. 3 days with fellow game devs made me realize how lucky I am to be a part of this fun industry and to actually be working my dream job. Sometimes you need to force yourself to see how lucky you are and how grateful you should be. After the conference, I had a lovely time traveling around England despite the deadly heat wave. I went to some amazing, awe-inspiring places, explored nature, history, and met some great people. By the end of these 3 months, my mind was just not in the place it used to be. How could it? It had a new habit. 4 months on, my brain, my thoughts remained changed, remolded into new grooves and patterns. And I have the tools I gained from the period between August 2021 to April 2022, the months of research and understanding for when I need them. I feel I was a lot more productive in the years developing Rainswept. I had a crazy work ethic, great discipline, and was always on track. That slowly fell away after launching Rainswept. I'm not fully sure why, but it might have something to do with getting a little taste of success. The pressure was off and I felt I'd done it. I guess I wasn't prepared for this, so it took me a little while to realize what was going on. So that's definitely something to watch out for. Fortunately, with all the mental work I've done since and the realization that being lazy and completely unproductive feels way worse than anything else and that it can spiral, I've got back on track and returned not to my crazy work ethic, something I feel is even better and balanced and sustainable. Especially when working alone, you've got to keep an eye on this stuff or complacency can kill you in ways you wouldn't expect. After Rainswept, things were looking quite good, but it's not exactly gone as one would have expected at the time. Stalled or stagnant is what I'd call it. Regardless, it's still early and with all that I've learned, the future is looking good once again. So Unwording is nearly finished and comes out early next year. It's an experimental game and I'm not sure how it'll perform financially, but the important thing, especially after Forgotten Fields, is that I'm very proud of it and that I'm excited to share it with the world. That I think it's a good game. This is already an improvement over the last launch. Even more exciting are the things that are in store after that. The secret horror game is something that I'm dying to get back to, and I think it's going to be something really special. I've also been ruminating on plans for Frostwood. The question of whether to continue working alone or to set up a studio and expand has been on my mind for the past year or so, and I feel I finally have an answer, and for the right reasons. Stay tuned for more on this, but if it all works out, 2023 is going to be a big year. I also want to make more YouTube videos. I hope I'm not jinxing it for another 2 years by saying this. A day in the life perhaps? I should have something new soon. That's it for this video, and finally, if you liked watching this or have enjoyed any of my games, please wishlist Unwording on Steam. It needs a lot more wishlist than it has to survive on Steam. It's gonna be a good game and it's gonna launch at a pretty good price point. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.